Jordan Peterson is wrong by Destiny. Destiny is a league player. What is this video? Why is Jordan Peterson wrong?
So
Destiny sucks a league. I've never watched him. I know he's like very, very political.
Ended
so.
up being.
I'm curious why he thinks Jordan is wrong. What's the argument?
Really
Wait, Destiny is the dude where Donkey got fucked. Oh no, not Donkey. What the fuck is the name? Jontron, yeah? Where Jontron got kind of fucked and almost ruined his career.
He's not saying anything racist. He's not saying anything sexist, progressive, etc.
Dude, only fucking superficial, like, people with preconceived agenda think Jordan Peterson is racist or like transphobic or anything. Like he's just a like a really good fucking well-versed scientist who cares about the psychology of people, from what I gather.
Got it.
The problem with what Jordan Peterson does is Jordan Peterson makes a lot of descriptive claims, but he never makes any normative claims. So Jordan Peterson will say things like, women are not as happy today as they used to be, women and men don't get along in the office, men tend to be better at
Let's go aggro.
this thing. And then that's all he ever says. He never takes a step further to make a prescriptive claim to say, like, what should we do about something? And the problem is a lot of people will take the things that he says and then they like jump to very bad places. Kind of obviously, it's where you would expect someone to go.
I mean, it's not really obvious. I never jump to any conclusions. I like whatever he says. I take it for what he says he is. Like you're not gonna fucking Kathy Newman jump to conclusions. You know, like triple jump. And then land somewhere. I mean, you're gonna do that if you have an agenda. Like if you're a let's say like a really radical alt-right, obviously you're gonna jump there. But it doesn't matter. You would do that to literally anyone.
On what he said, but then he never takes responsibility for any of the kind of normative leaps people make off of his descriptive ones, and that's kind of the annoying thing with dealing with Jordan Peterson. Technically, Jordan Peterson himself doesn't usually say things well. When he's talking about psychology, it's usually okay. When he starts talking about like history or politics, it's usually really fucking stupid. But generally when he's talking about psychology, his stuff is okay. But a lot of people use kind of what he's saying to empower some really, I
feel like Destiny just wants to like undermine him. He's wrong. But I don't know. Okay, that's up. He did like a bunch of big claims as to why Peterson is like, he's okay in psychology, but is really stupid in politics and history. I've never heard anything really stupid from Jordan Peterson, so I'm actually curious what this guy says. Gamer claims psychology professor is okay when he talks about psychology. Oh man, yeah. It's like me saying Michael Jordan was okay at dunking, you know? He could work on those dunks. He could get a little bit of a twist of his arm, you know, when he's flying. You know? Like, what the hell, man? Neil deGrasse Tyson is okay when he talks about astronomy.
Now, but if you were to say, therefore, women shouldn't work today, that would be the normative claim.
Okay, I mean, he's arguing about the semantics. He's not really like attacking the Jordan Peterson's points.
So then your issue is that he makes a lot of descriptive claims, and then those get taken out of context or get taken to.
How does that constitute him as being wrong, though?
Yeah, so basically, like descriptive claims.
I don't know. Like dude, isn't unbiased objective facts the thing you kind of want? Isn't that the thing you want from people? Because it's a breath of fresh air. Because everyone is just being like completely biased. Like when you get an unbiased objective truth, you can fucking respect it. Like especially if the person is not telling you what you need to do, because that's for you to figure out. He's just passing on the knowledge. I don't know. What's the wrong with that?
What should we do? What ought we to do?
We aren't fucking like, to an extent, at least we aren't fucking sheep that need to be like told what to do at all times. You know.
And to me, logically, that makes sense. And then when you hear people talk about, describing the little wage gap there is, and what contributes to that wage gap aside from.
Wait, are these guys seriously talking about wage gap in fucking 21st century? Yo, Benzinas, what's up, dude?
The systemic issues that, whatever. It all seems to make sense. Like, that sounds right. So what kind of claim, like...
Wait, so which sounds right? That women should go start
No, not that should. Not should. It's that they do. And that's why law firms find themselves in that position where they're struggling. They want to have these, women in higher positions. They value it, etc. But they're having trouble. To me, doesn't sound like he's making any kind of absurd...
Female streamers get more money than men. Wage gap is real. I mean, yeah, you could cry about it, but like you can just face the objective truth. And why the fuck is that happening? Like, you can cry out for wage gap, or you can like deconstruct it in multi variables and then understand why it's really happening. Like, you can exactly cry out like that. Oh, average female streamer with 100 viewers makes way more, probably about triple-ish, than the average average male streamer with about 100 viewers. So they make about, like, this is just a number on my ass, but it's probably about triple from what I've, like, I did do some tracking comparing myself to other female streamers. And yeah, like, you can cry about it. You can cry about it, or you can understand that the Twitch it's predominantly a male platform. So obviously female is going to garner more attention. Secondly, it's what type of males are watching this. Like, what kind of men are watching Twitch most often? The most often target audience is the fucking people with weak social status or weak social lives. So they generally don't have too much interaction with females. So obviously they watch female streamers that are selling them this dream. They're selling them this dream of a perfect girlfriend, and they're like dreaming and living in that dream and considering like, oh, if I just sub for 47 months, if I just donate 4 billion, she might consider going out with me. She might talk to me on Discord and shit like that. And obviously, like, that's why it's happening. Like, to an extent, that explains it. And what am I gonna do about it? I can't cry for like fucking wage gap. You just gotta think about like why it's happening. Have you heard about the Twitch release Black Lives Matter related video and they removed it because it has too many white people in it? Woo! Identity politics, ladies and gentlemen.
Right, which is wrong. Like, he said nothing of the sort, and for them to jump to that conclusion is...
Well, yeah, but the problem is that this is the great trick that Peterson pulls. It makes him very frustrating to watch other people try to talk with him. This is why people get so frustrated when they talk to them. It's because Peterson will never make... you fucking idiot. Are you serious? Get out of here. Peterson will never make any prescriptive claims ever. He'll always retreat to this kind of like, oh, well, I don't know what we should do. Like, oh, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. He always...
I mean, isn't that the beauty? Like, dude, what the fuck is wrong with Destiny? Like, first of all, like, he hates when someone gives you the facts without biased opinion. Now he hates when someone actually says, I don't know. Isn't that the beauty, dude? This is why we love fucking science. Because you are welcome to say, I don't know. I'm not going to claim I know everything and give you the answers whether I'm confident or not in them. If I don't know, I'm going to say, I don't know. That is the beauty of it. If a human has the capacity to say, I don't know, you have to respect that human. Like, why is it wrong all of a sudden? What the fuck?
As much as it pains me to say this, I think there's actually some value there. He does make, like, decent statements about psychology, and usually when he's...
Okay, we're back to the beginning,
Very narrow purview of psychology. His comments are generally correct and generally intelligent. When he starts talking about politics or philosophy, it gets very fucking cringy.
Okay, I have to...
Bought into this.
You have to tell me where he's wrong, though. You gotta give me something to work with. Come on.
Science or knowledge or information because there's some marching orders coming from some post-Marxist doctrine conspiracy shit about, like, I don't know, like... That when he starts getting into that stuff, we're getting into like very weird conspiracy territory where it's much easier to describe things using more simple explanations. Like, oh, like a lot of people are progressive and push for, inclusions of certain types of people. Does that make sense?
No. Yeah, he's... That's the surface level, though. What he doesn't understand that Peterson goes on a much deeper level. Peterson, like... He understands things at a way deeper level, at a psychological level, and he looks to get to the bottom of things, to the root. Like, Destiny is just referencing what the idea is, like, oh, let's just be progressive and push for inclusion and all that. I mean, that is the surface level. But that's not why a lot of people don't agree with that. It's not because people hate inclusionists, but because what it implies and how that inclusion is actually pulled off, you know. And Peterson tries to distill it to the lowest fucking point, and what kind of logic leads to that.
So that, in that, from my end, like the Marxism, not necessarily, but when he talks about the way speech is controlled and he talks about these radical social progressives, it's like hard for me to not be like, I kind of see that. Like when you see people's lives getting ruined because they said X, Y, and Z, where there's the mob mentality to go after someone.
I mean, even Marxism, it's evident in the West, actually.
Some slight against a protected class.
Yeah, but have you, I mean, like, very simple. You've heard, like, don't throw out the baby with the bathwater, right? I'm sure you've heard this expression before, right? Like, there are people that go real hard on social media and shit that probably shouldn't. I totally agree with that. And I think we can all agree.
Let's see if Robot Lady can rap.
I think a lot of us can agree that that's
sweaty.
bad.
Unicorn weak.
But the idea that, like, we should throw out, like,
Arms
everything related to, like, protected classes
already.
and everything
Mom's spaghetti,
is probably not, like, a good idea.
I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
I mean, Destiny, that's the first smart thing you said. But then again, you're being only descriptive. You literally didn't tell anything about what we should do, Destiny. You're only describing things. You're only saying the facts and like...
all or whatever.
Yeah, fear of being ostracized.
Sure, yeah.
People aren't going to... Like, I think that's something that really... that concerns me.
Oh, that's huge. That's huge in current culture.
So here's the well, is it compelled speech that I'm not allowed to call like a homosexual employee like a fag or whatever? Is this something that like does that count as compelled speech that you're telling me to refer?
No, it's the current hate speech. It's not compelled. Oh no, he's jumbling it up. No, Bill C-16, as I remember in Canada, what was that? 2016. It purported like for compelled speech. They literally make you utter words, and that has never happened before, because it's like. There are usual things that you can't say, which is like the hate speech. Even that is like you can debate it and how efficient it is. It can be all right to have some limits here and there, but the compelled speech is a completely other thing, to actually make people say words and to give that power to literally anyone writing the policies, or anyone like, depending on how the policies are written, anyone in the street. Because I can tell you, hey, you have to call me this and this, and you have to do it. If you don't, I call offended and report you to police. And it's actually a matter of justice then. Like, it's ridiculous. Compelled speech should never exist. Doesn't matter, dude. It's just a bad idea.
I don't even, I have a really hard time understanding like how somebody can get so triggered or so upset over the fact that like we want to extend protections to like certain transgender people or other classes for being protected at the workplace or whatever.
Why would the Peterson videos, like, he became popular over the Bill C-16, I guess, in mainstream. That's when he kind of popped off in media, and he got so many views and like saying, no, I'm not gonna say the speech you're telling me to say. And that's why he became popular. Now, why the fuck did that happen? Like, if it was literally only about transgenders, and if he was mad because he didn't want transgenders to have rights, he would have been gone within fucking weeks and nobody would care about his videos. Okay? Does that make sense? The only reason the videos blew off is because he actually rationalized the point and eloquently put it to which like people couldn't. He actually rationalized the point and people understood what's happening, and people didn't like someone else telling them what they have to say. That's it. It's not that people have issues with transgenders, man. He's missing the point. He's missing the bigger picture in the background that's coming. It's totalitarianism with a virtue signaling disguise, I guess. It's like a Trojan horse, man. Like, you're proposing compassion for others while denying freedoms from everyone. And it's not beneficial to transgenders nor anyone else.
2, 1, go.
Why do you feel that someone's personal gender identity and pronouns infringes your free speech? Can one not also argue, based on your interpretation, that professors can use racial slurs in their classroom and that the inability to do so would violate their freedom of...
Again, it's like you combine, like, you just like you subtly, like, underhanded, just pull in you pull out the pronouns, and you're like, compelled speech, but under like the racial slurs. You can use the slurs, but then it's like, you get the compelled speech below. Like, everyone knows not to fucking call your students the N-word, you know? Everyone knows that. I don't know how many professors do that shit. It's moronic. Like, who does that? The only time that, like, you saw, like, a professor use a slur was when you watch Whiplash and he calls him a fag. And even that is, like, I don't know. I guess it's homophobic to an extent. But it's, come on, dude. Like,
of speech.
There's a difference between saying that there's something you can't say and saying that there are things that you have to say. And I regard these made-up pronouns, all of them, as the neologisms of radical PC authoritarians. Do you understand that? And I'm not a fan of that sort of person. And the reason I'm not a fan of that sort of person is because I've done my homework. I've read everything I can get my hands on in the development of authoritarian political systems, and I know the literature inside out and backwards. And I am not going to be a mouthpiece for language that I detest.
Okay, so I'm gonna pause for a second.
Yeah, that's pretty much the end of that one.
Yeah,
that's the one I was...
So there's kind of like a lot of baggage that has to be worked through here. Oh man. It's hard because I have to we have to go like pretty hard here. I don't know how educated or uneducated Peterson is in regards to any of these topics from a philosophical point of view. So how we identify as he or she, these things are personal things, and these things are socially constructed things, okay? The idea that we have categories for male, even insofar as biology is concerned, the idea that we have categories for male, the idea that we have categories for female, these are value statements that we've made as humans. We've chosen to group some values together, we've chosen to identify some things in some manner, et cetera, right? When it comes to how we present ourselves publicly in terms of male or female, we can say a gender, right? From a gender point of view, these things are socially constructed categories as well. For evidence of this, as much as people...
What? He just said everything is socially constructed. I'm pretty sure he or she are just like... I mean, they're made up by people, but they were just based off of biology at start, because it's a lot simpler, you know? You can just... You don't know, like, someone is, hey, yo, dude, what's up? And you can call someone, it's like, I don't know.
You might want to scream
it's
at
just
you
it's just a shortcut you use in speech.
They've got their facts for genders and sex. You don't know the actual sex of 99% of the people you ever meet. You don't actually know if they have a dick or a vagina. You don't know if they've got real boobs, if it's gynecomastia.
99, really, Destiny?
You can't without
Are you blind?
Like genetic testing or like groping people. You just can't know these things. We typically...
What?
I love you.
99% you can't tell? Are you sure?
The idea that like somebody can't just say I'd want to be addressed as like a he or a she, and there's like some problem with that. It's just mystifying to me. We largely do this out of like a means to be it's just.
So to get...
It's like a person's name. Like it would be like me going up to like Shapiro and being like, I'm not going to call you Ben. I'm going to call you Benjamin, because that's the scientifically correct way to refer to you. I will not refer to you as Ben or Benny. Benjamin is the like.
I mean, it's your
just doesn't make
speech.
Any sense
you can call him
to
Benjamin,
like go so
right?
hard on something like that. Much the same way.
Well,
that
am I missing something here? Like, what would be the problem to? Yeah, you can call me Azzer, Zazzapaza, Azzapoop. I don't give a fuck, dude. It's your speech. That's why you got nicknames. Certain people prefer to call you in certain ways. Obviously, there are disrespectful ways of calling you, and if they disrespectfully call you repeatedly, you don't meet with those people. Or like, fuck it, I don't like you. You're being disrespectful. Or you kind of say like, what's your problem, pussy? And it's like, it kind of goes back and forth, you know? You can call him then something like offensive, and then he's gonna like get a taste of his own medicine. If why does that need to be a legislation? Can someone fucking explain me? I really don't know. Poop. Sorry, as a poop. Yeah, this is just fucking cool. Classic for bits. Like, I don't get that. Why does that have to be a legislation? Isn't there like a personal case-to-case basis between humans, right? Am I wrong here? Like, you go in, you meet someone, you're like, hey, what's your name? He gives you your name and maybe the nickname as well. You can call him a nickname or whatever. And you just call him that. Maybe you invent a new nickname if you're kind of closer, if you're at that point. If you don't like the nickname, you tell him, hey, stop calling me that, I don't like it. If they still continue, they're a dick. They're just a person you don't want to be around. It's a perfect way to filter out dicks and like assholes out of your life. Why do we remove that by legislation? So then I don't know who is an asshole. when I meet them, because the law mandates that they call me that correctly. So I basically lose that first barrier, first filter of figuring out who's an asshole. Right? Isn't that beneficial?
Is that he isn't against calling a transgendered woman she. It's the Z's or Zim shit that he had an issue with. But
yeah,
maybe I'm
and
wrong,
I mean, like,
I've not.
I've heard him talk about like.
It's a landslide.
Pronouns. Honest to God, I can be more sympathetic towards those arguments because, for a variety of reasons. But like, do people actually ask for this? Like, how many people actually push for like the Z's?
Well, how, Destin? You don't know human nature. If you give a little bit of a piece, they're gonna probe and see how far they can go. Especially if they have something against you, they're gonna push you to the corner exactly in such a manner. Like, is Destiny pretending like he doesn't understand human like condition? What humans like to do? You know how you like on Twitter they started banning people when they say the N-word, and then the guys went in and they typed in like 3 letters of the N-word, and they get banned sometimes. And then the guy after him comes in and writes N, the other guy below him writes I, and they just do that like in pairs, like, because they're just writing a single letter. Can you ban them for that? And then sometimes they did, sometimes they didn't. So they got, when a system is so vague and decided by someone high up, you probe. People tend to probe and try to see like how far you can go before cracking, and it shows at the end. It really shows how inconsistent your thing is because it's really vague. So it's near impossible to do that consistently.
So I would be really careful not to conflate stuff here. Like, social media is cancerous because of witch hunting shit, but that's not an SJW issue. Like, especially be careful of who you're talking to, right? Like everybody fucking witch hunts on fucking social media. People on the right do it just as much, you know?
And the beliefs behind the actors who
no I think that it's a problem in and of itself, like that people can call people out on social media and destroy their lives, and they have a lot of power over companies that do it. I think that's a problem.
Well, that's a big issue, but he understands that this is an issue, but he doesn't understand like how this issue came to be. Like, he's so So Destiny here agrees that he hates that people are abusing their power on Twitter and social media to call out people and ruin their careers based off of like a word or a tweet. Okay, so he agrees that is bad. But then again, he gobbles everything up that's about compassion earlier. Like, I mean, that's how they went in the first place. Because that's how you create cancel culture, by limiting what people can say and what they can't say. Right? Because you say, oh, I'm offended by this, can you please not have this on the website? And eventually all of that is eradicated. And then boom, a guy who tweeted something about that in 2010 gets canceled. Okay? And he gets fucking mad. And then he looks for someone like else, and it's just, you permeate that cancel culture, because any public figure is going to have people who don't like them. So they're obviously going to like do their research to try and cancel them in whatever way possible. Predicting himself.
And then
here.
even if you were to delete like certain types of ideologies, these problems would still exist.
So that is my
this is also the issue in America. Everyone's thinking left or right. See how you see being in a mindset, oh, it's not only left, it's doing the right as well. It's like they're always just trying to like fucking divide everything in left or right. Does it fucking matter? Just talk about issue per issue, one by one, case by case basis, and try to understand it deeply. Like, it doesn't really matter if it's left or right. Both are gonna abuse that. It's just moronic to attribute it to one side. God damn, dude.
And maybe that's my fault for conflating the two, but in my mind, knowing that
it's not about ideologies, it's just about like
just that
reducing people's freedoms.
Yeah,
I agree.
And the guys obviously get blasted.
Though that the source of a lot of it does
retroactively
come from people, that tribalism, us versus them, and people on a certain side using social media as a method to enact their beliefs.
Yeah, I mean, and that's where I disagree. I think that anybody does it. I don't even think it's a both sides thing. I think it's just an everything thing. If you think you can witch hunt and destroy somebody's life on social media, I think people will just do it. That's it.
How do we prevent that?
And
how do we prevent that, Destiny?
I want to get up and do stand-up, and my joke is to just say, like, the N-word like 50 million times, and then someone's like, well, that's kind of offensive. You're like, dude, it's comedy. Like, I don't think that's like a defense ever, You can simultaneously say, like, yeah, it's it's humor, it's offensive, blah, 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 and it's a joke, but, like, you can still say, like, okay, well, it's still, like, offensive or tasteless or whatever, no?
I mean, if a comedian does that, you don't laugh, you don't buy his tickets, he eventually gets evolutionary like dumped down. and the other comedians are going to rise up who actually have taste. But ban comedians, let's say, because of saying one word or offending one human, to ban them from, let's say, performing in clubs or something, is just personal opinion. If a guy has enough demand for him, why wouldn't the club just fucking get him? Okay, like this is where this comes to issue. So let's say there's a big comedian, has like 1 million followers. He makes a fucking skit that's a little bit tasteless, but a lot of people can handle dark humor. So from the 1 million guys, maybe 5,000 don't like it, and they're a very vocal minority. So let's say they badger the social media, badger him, badger the club. Club has to ban him from ever performing, because it's going to be really terrible PR for them. And even though 995,000 people want to listen to the comedian still and they like him, they can't go because he's banned in most clubs. Because if he's banned in one club, he's probably going to be banned in all of them, because this minority won't stop. And that's how you permeate the cancel culture. And they just like nag everybody until he's banned, because if he's not banned, they're going to blame the club for being racist, for like hosting that type of behavior. It's a whole set of fucking issues, dude. Why does everyone have to act as a publisher? Just act as an intermediary, just like social medias. Be the fucking intermediary that you should be instead of being a publisher. You don't have to be like responsible for the people writing shit on your website. Proclaim you're just a intermediary website. You're not a publisher. People have do their own thing, and that's it. If it's available, it's gonna happen. You can't stop it. I'm going to the root. Like, Destiny's being very, very superficial about it. He's analyzing stuff at the very surface. He's analyzing the symptoms of it, the bubbles on the surface. He doesn't understand why the fuck it's happening. Like, to root it out, you would have to address it at a much bigger issue. It's not that one ideology is can't like creating cancel culture. It's not one ideology. It's not left or right. He's being too like narrow-minded as all divided people in America tend to be. And it's so easy to tell, like me, like unbiased source. I'm listening from Bosnia. I don't give a fuck about your politics. I'm curious about it, like to an extent, because I know it's going to follow here in about 10 to 15, 20 years because we're late. But it's hilarious to see how everyone is so polarized. It's left or right, left or right. It's always them. We're always right. They're always wrong. It's so polarizing, and there's literally no discourse between them. Civil discourse has been banned. If you talk to them, that means you agree with them. It's just moronic. And yeah, that's basically it. You make me